Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point on the American Family Radio Talk Network. I am Brian Fisher, your congenial, convivial, and amiable host. This is Focal Point, the home of muscular Christianity on conservative talk radio. And by the way, if you want to catch the entire conversation, the entire phone call of that mother of the Fort Hood victim, you can find it on our website, our news site, onenewsnow.com. Honored and pleased to welcome to our decision maker line someone who's been a guest on this program before, Bob VanderPlaats, who is the president and executive director. I'm not exactly sure what your title is, Bob, but you are the leader. You're the president of the Family Leader, which is the leading pro-family organization in the state of Iowa. Welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Well, Brian, there's many days I don't know what my title is, but it's always great to be on your program, and thanks for having me.
Well, Bob, the reason I wanted to bring you on today, because this is breaking news. I'm looking at a story on the Des Moines Register from today, and it has to do with the possibility that the state Republican Party in Iowa may cancel the straw poll, which has been a fixture in the American political landscape since 1979. That's when the Iowa State GOP first had a straw poll, and that's become kind of the kickoff event in the presidential campaign every year. That becomes like a really big deal. They have a straw poll. Who wins the straw poll? That person has early momentum in the presidential race. So it's been a pretty big deal. Now, the winner of the straw poll hasn't always gone on to win the nomination, but it's critically important as a kickoff event. So tell us, Bob, before we get to the role that the family leader may play in this, tell us about why the Republican Party would consider suspending the conduct of the straw poll.
Well, you have a lot of leaders in the Republican Party right now, Governor Branstad being one of them, who really believe that the straw poll has outlived its usefulness, meaning the straw poll is like two bites of the apple. Iowa is known for its Iowa caucus, first in the nation, presidential status, and the straw poll precedes that. The caucus is usually held in January or February. The straw poll is usually held in August. And what's happened is that the straw poll, as you'll remember, Brian, gave great momentum and great legs to the candidacy of Governor Mike Huckabee.
Oh, yeah.
Had it not been for the straw poll, Mike Huckabee probably would have had to drop out of the race. But instead, he went on to win the Iowa caucuses and then take second place in the 2008 nomination process. Well, this past year, Michelle Bachmann won the straw poll. And she went on to take last in the Iowa caucuses. So what a lot of people are saying is there's no predictability on how well you do in the straw poll, what that's going to do in the caucus. And so we stay out of party politics. We're not trying to get into their business whatsoever. If they want to have a straw poll, great. If they don't want to have a straw poll, we may be poised to fill in that gap with the Family Leadership Summit.
Well, that was the thing that struck me. And I guess there have been some complaints, Bob, about Iowa kind of double dipping. They got the first in the nation caucus, and they also have this first kind of in the nation straw poll. So, people in other parts of the country may actually have a little bit of resentment that Iowa gets the kind of profile it gets because of the timing of these two events. And apparently there was some complaint about some people feeling they were sort of getting taken for a ride because of the costs associated with being able to participate in the straw poll. So at any rate, it looks like the GOP may drop this thing. That's kind of the way it sounds to me. And Governor Terry Branstad has said, look, the family leader of the organization of which you are the head may be poised to step in and fill that gap, and you guys could wind up being the sponsors of what would amount to the replacement Iowa straw poll. Tell us about that.
Well, it could happen. And what we do is we have a Family Leadership Summit every August. Last year it was sold out. We had Governor Mike Huckabee do his program, the Huckabee Show, from the summit. This year we moved it to Ames. It's a much larger venue, Stevens Auditorium. And we have Dr. Dal Tackett, we have Dr. David Noble, we have Rick Santorum, we have Senator Ted Cruz and his dad, we have business magnate Donald Trump, all coming into Ames to speak at our leadership summit. And so I think what the media is seeing and what Governor Branstad is seeing is the family leader has the ability to attract a lot of speakers, a lot of high-quality people. We always draw a great attendance. And the national media always descends on our events. I think right now we have well over 60 media credentialed to be at that event this coming Saturday. So I think what they're seeing is if the Republican Party decides to back out of the straw poll commitment, then we might be the organization poised to step in to at least have some venue where potential presidential candidates could get in front of the most key base to winning the Iowa caucuses, and that's the base of the family leader.
Well, and it seems to me, Bob, beyond even just Iowa, beyond just the caucuses, beyond the primaries, that what is central, and again, I'm not saying this from a partisan standpoint, just from an objective standpoint, if 28% of the electorate consists of evangelical voters who by and large are socially conservative, they believe in the sanctity of life, they believe in the sanctity of marriage as a one-man, one-woman institution, and they really are critical to the fortunes of the Republican Party. In fact, I don't see any future for the Republican Party unless it finds some way to enlist, mobilize, and engage evangelical voters. And we've read exit polling from the last two elections that indicate that a substantial minority, I mean, it might not be even 30%, but enough voters voted for the Democrat candidate who was pro-abortion, pro-homosexual agenda to give him the White House. So it seems to me if the Republican Party wants to have a future in American politics, they better find some way to connect in a stronger and more effective way with the evangelical base. And if this straw poll there in Ames that the family leader hosted, if all of the leading contenders for the Republican nomination were there, and this was sort of the kickoff event, evangelicals, the evangelical grassroots base of the Republican Party, would find out pretty quickly which of these candidates and their message resonates with their values.
No, without question. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Brian, is that there is no future for a Republican presidential candidate if they just disengage the base of their party. We did what Karl Rove told us to do last time. We nominated Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney did better with independents than any other candidate of Republicans have done in a long time, yet he lost his base, and we elect Barack Obama. At the same time, Barack Obama engages his base, inspires his base, and he ends up winning the presidency. And what we always say that if you're going to be socially conservative on life and on marriage and religious liberty, then we believe you will be fiscal conservative on tax policy, on immigration, and on other issues. But if you're going to be a fiscal conservative, but you're not going to be concerned about the breakdown of the family, well, that's kind of an oxymoron because there's no way you can do that. You can't continue to have the breakdown of the family and be a fiscal conservative. So there's no doubt we are positioned. We have been the past couple of cycles. We're in a better position today to have a key role and influence in 2016 about who we champion, who has the pro-family credentials to lead this country.
And going back to what you were saying about, Ronald Reagan's conservative stool consisted of strong national defense, smaller government, family values. And what you're talking about with smaller government, that has to do with economic issues, lower taxes, less regulation. I just want to kind of affirm what you said. You can't be an economic conservative, really, in truth, without being a social conservative, because if you're not a social conservative, then you are not going to be doing anything to resist the growth of the trend of illegitimacy, of families headed by single parents who are living in poverty, of children who are suffering from the effects of growing up in a home with a missing mom or a missing dad. And they're going to put increasing strains on the welfare system. We already know that somewhere between $100 and $200 billion a year can be traced directly to the breakdown of the family. It's probably a good bit higher than that. So social conservatism, it turns out in the end, is actually good for the economy of America because it produces adults who are motivated, well-educated, disciplined, have integrity. They are consumers as well as contributors. So if you want to see economic prosperity, it seems to me you've got to be pro-life and you've got to be pro-natural marriage because that's the optimal nurturing environment for children who will eventually become the producers and the consumers in the economy that you want to see.
Yeah, without question. And, the basic units of governance, it begins with us governing ourselves in a free republic. That's why the founder said it needs to be based on religion and morality, recognizing that there is a God. That's where the laws come from. And morality, meaning we need to be able to govern ourselves. You need to be a moral people if you're going to have this kind of freedom. So if we're going to perpetuate the breakdown of the family, then something else has got to come in to take place for the family, and too often that is government. And we see what the impact of that is. $17 trillion in debt. We redefine the institution of the family. There's not a moral compass or a moral code. That's why the basis of the family, the foundation of that family is so important to a free society. And that's why social conservatives are always fiscal conservatives. And fiscal conservatives who say they're not social conservatives, they're talking out of both ends of their mouths because it just doesn't line up.
One last question, Bob. I'm talking here with Bob VanderPlaats, the president of the Family Leader in Iowa, which could wind up hosting what amounts to the Iowa straw poll in the 2016 campaign. Got about 60 seconds left, Bob. Handicap the current GOP field for me. Who do you see as front runners? Who do you see as potential candidates that conservatives might get excited about?
I think there's a lot of potential candidates. I think Governor Bobby Jindal, conservatives could get excited about out of Louisiana. Obviously, Governor Mike Huckabee could be a candidate. Senator Rick Santorum looks like he's going to be a candidate once again. Senator Ted Cruz, he's got a lot of people talking about him right now because of being a bold leader. Governor Scott Walker, all these people, they have a lot of credibility right now with the conservatives, and we're just going to see who wants to come, who wants to play, and then who we want to rally behind.
And the list of names you've given there, Bob, it seems to me one of the things we got to love about them is they all seem to be genuine social conservatives. I mean, it's a part of their DNA. It's not just a part of their talking point platform. It's a part of who they are.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And we need to be smart enough this time, Brian, to rally around one so we don't get the moderate alternative to be our nominee.
Our guest has been Bob VanderPlaats, the president of the Iowa Family Leader, the leading pro-family organization in the state of Iowa. And if they do, in fact, sponsor what may amount to the Iowa straw poll in the 2016 campaign, could have an extremely important role in helping conservatives select their torchbearer. Bob, thanks again for taking time to be with us. God bless you, my friend.
Hey, God bless you too, Brian. Take care.
Bob VanderPlaats, Iowa Family Leader. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere.